Alright, hey guys, welcome to the video. If you're new here, my name's Curtis, and today I thought I'd put a list together of fragrances that are from Asia. As you guys know, I live here in Japan. I've been living here for about the past 13 years. So, Asia, I feel like, is a land where perfume isn't as popular as it is in the West. However, I feel like it's definitely gaining popularity, and I've found some great brands that have some lovely fragrances that are from Asia, so I'd like to feature those today. So I'll be talking about brands from Japan, of course, Hong Kong, Thailand, and Vietnam. So if you're curious to hear my thoughts and opinions on these fragrances, then let's go. All right, so first up, we'll be talking about a fragrance from Vietnam, and from the house of Dia Nam, we have Vietnamese Coffee. Man, so this one is just coffee with some deep, rich, ambery goodness. That's basically what you get here. This is a comforting scent for me. I'm a huge coffee lover, and so this one really hits the spot. And if you've ever been to Vietnam, you know that they're really famous for their coffee that they have there. I love Vietnamese coffee. And when I went to Vietnam, I don't know, about 10 years ago or so, I really indulged in coffee there. Just very rich and deep aromas. And I can definitely catch that in this fragrance. But like I said, this one has a heavy dose of ambery notes. So it almost provides like a creaminess to this fragrance. So it's kind of like coffee, creamy, sweet. But it's not overly sweet. It definitely pushes into that gourmand territory, but not overly gourmand. There's just subtle touches there, but the coffee in here is absolutely gorgeous and extremely well done. I love wearing this one. This one is just a comforting scent for me. It's very well done, and this is the only fragrance that I have from the house of Dia Nam, but I definitely want to dive into that house a bit further to see their other offerings. And what I've noticed is that on Lucky Scent, they sell Dia Nam, and I've noticed that some of their other offerings, they have like Japanese names. So they're kind of, I'm wondering if they're catering to the Japanese culture or if those fragrances are just inspired by Japan, which is interesting because this is a Vietnamese house. But yeah, I'm curious to dive in and experience those fragrances a bit further. But this is a lovely one, especially if you like coffee and a bit of amber and kind of sweeter notes with that coffee. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Vietnamese Coffee by Dia Nam. All right, so next up, we'll be talking about a fragrance house out of Hong Kong, from the house of Tobba. This is Ombre Vert. Yeah, so this one is a newer fragrance discovery for me. And actually, when I was at Isetan in Shinjuku, I came across this line here, Tobba. And so I was talking with one of the sales reps about, where they're from. And she was telling me, oh yeah, they're from Hong Kong. And I sampled almost all of them. I think I didn't get to sample 2. I think they were offering about 6 or 7 at the time. And so I didn't get to sample 2 of them. So, but this was one of them that I was really drawn to. And there were actually 2 others that I was really interested in as well. But Ombre Vert is basically, you get a heavy blast of vetiver. And so this fragrance is quite earthy and green. You also have some mimosa in here, which brings like a subtle kind of powdery type of sweetness to this fragrance. It's not overly powdery or anything, like it is very, very subtle, pushed into the background. You also have a bit of tuberose. But with this one in the dry down, basically what I'm getting is that vetiver starts to become a bit more prominent. And also there is cedar wood in here. So that cedar wood really starts to pop off my skin. And what's very lovely about this fragrance, on the opening blast, you get a heavy dose of citruses. So I remember like when I first smelled this fragrance off the opening, it kind of reminded me in a way of Incident Diplomatique by Javoy. You guys know that fragrance. It has a lovely citrus blast in the top. And with that one, it's kind of like the vetiver and patchouli battling out head to head. But this one, after, I don't know, about 20 minutes, that citrus note begins to kind of fade. And that's when that vetiver, the tuberose, mimosa, and that cedar wood really start to push forward. But it is a beautiful blend. And yeah, Tobba is basically, like I said, indie niche house out of Hong Kong, but man, they have some lovely offerings from them, so I'm definitely looking forward to diving into this house a bit further. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Ombre Vert by Tobba. All right, so next up, we'll be talking about a fragrance from Bangkok, Thailand, and from Maksim Perfume, we have Vanilla Oud. Man, so mystery, elegance, opulence, and beauty in the most natural way. And that's what you're getting right here. My image of this fragrance is if you're kind of, you're camping out and you have a fire going outside and you have a pot of vanilla over that fire, and that fire is evaporating that vanilla, so it's going into the air, you're catching wafts, and that smoke from that campfire is mixing in with that vanilla, as well as kind of the natural environment around you, so those greens and that earth, and that's basically what you get here. This is such a gorgeous, gorgeous fragrance. It's basically a smoky vanilla oudi fragrance. Man, beautiful. But the oud is extremely well done here. It doesn't come off funky at all by any means. It more so comes off a bit woody and smoky, but I absolutely love it. Yeah, so upon initial spray with this one, you do get a heavy blast of pepper, but that pepper is definitely smoothed out by some vanilla and nuances of smoke that you get. And then when you move, I guess, a bit more towards the mid, you get a bit of florals that start to push forward, but they never dominate the mix. They're definitely tucked in the background there. And then when you move into the dry down, that smoke becomes a bit more prominent, so it really starts to push a bit forward, along with the woodiness of this fragrance. And that vanilla starts to tone down just ever so slightly, but you can definitely tell that it's still there. But man, what a gorgeous wear this is. And there's something about Maksim perfumes, and I mentioned this in another video, that, you know, there's something just very tranquil and cozy about these fragrances. When I wear them, they just relax me. Vibes in a bottle right here, just extremely well done, high natural ingredients, and just quality here. You know, if you're not familiar with the House of Maksim Perfume, you should definitely look into them. I talk about them quite often on the channel, and as you guys know, my favorite oud fragrance in my collection is Oud Indochine by Maksim Perfume. Phenomenal, stunning fragrance, but this one is extremely good as well, masterfully done, and definitely one to check out. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Vanilla Oud by Maksim Perfume. All right, so next up, I'll be showing you some fragrances from Japan. So first up, from the house of Parfum Satori, we have Satori. Man, so this one represents like the perfect image of Japan by using the scent of kyara. And if you don't know about kyara, it is one of the most, or it might be the most expensive oud on the planet. I think like 1 gram costs about $10,000. So it is extremely expensive, maybe even more than that. I don't think there's real kyara used in here, but I think Satori-san was trying to capture the essence and the scent of kyara, and I think she's done it masterfully well. My image of this is if you're going to a temple, and if you've ever been to a temple in Japan, you'll know that outside leading up to the temple stairs, you'll have this kind of pit, and it has incense in it, and so that pit is burning this incense, so you're catching the beautiful wafts of that incense in here. And this fragrance, you can definitely pick up on that. And so it's that kind of kyara, that scent of kyara with a bit of incense is definitely what you're picking up in this fragrance. But the kyara oud in here isn't funky by any means. It's just very sophisticated, classy, and extremely well done. What an easy wear. And one thing about Parfum Satori, you know, when she's creating these fragrances, she's creating these fragrances with the Japanese climate in mind. Fragrances that can work well here in Japan. And as you guys know that, you know, beast mode fragrances and very strong fragrances don't go over so well here. I think, you know, you can definitely wear them here, but in terms of, you know, what the Japanese people like and catering to the Japanese aesthetic and climate, they just don't go over so well here. If you know anything about Japanese weather, summers are crazy humid. Like, I dread summers when they come, and I know it's almost here, but yeah, they are extremely humid. And so she's creating fragrances with that climate in mind. Like this one here, even though it has oud in it, you know, it's very light, airy, extremely well done. You can wear this type of fragrance in the summertime. It just has that kind of, you know, just light, airy presence about it that it can work in any season. And so I think a lot with her fragrances, the majority of them can work in any season because they're not too heavy and deep. But with that said, they have a lot of depth and character to them, but in a very subtle way. And that's something that I really think is unique about her fragrance style and this house in general. But this is a lovely one and definitely one to check out. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Satori by Parfum's Satori. And this one's another fragrance from Japan, from the house of Edit H. We have Rose Mojito. Man, green, woody, minty, floral, and slightly boozy. That's basically what you get here. Upon initial spray with this one, you get a heavy blast of mint and lime, and you can definitely pick up on that rose as well. There's also a bit of a boozy-like quality from this fragrance. So I mean, if you've ever had a mojito, that's basically what you get here, with a sprinkled bit of rose in it. It's a rose mojito. It's very refreshing and clean smelling. Man, this is just a great one because it's just so refreshing. And I've been wearing this one this spring, but I'm really looking forward to hitting this one hard this summer, just because of the vibe. This is a vibe, I'm telling you. It almost kind of gives you like vacation vibes in a bottle, just the way this one comes off. But that mint, when you put this one on, it almost even has a cooling presence. When I put this one on the back of my neck, it's almost like that mint is kind of cooling my neck off. So if you kind of know what maybe I don't explain that very well, but if you know what I mean, yeah. And the rose in here is very well done. It's a green rose, and this one almost kind of comes off like a rose water in a sense. So I wouldn't say the rose is, you know, very like deep and red. It's definitely more of like kind of a stemmy rose in here, but it's a great one, lovely one for sure. And like I said, if you're looking more for like a fresh take on rose with some boozy and minty qualities, this would be one to check out. Like, again, what a banger for the spring and summer. But for me personally, this one is gonna go off hard in the summertime. I know it, and I'm excited to wear it this summer. And Edit H is a newer brand that I've discovered here in Japan. I think they've been around for a while, and actually Edit H was a brand that started producing like Japanese kind of stationery. So like papers, like Hanko stamps and stuff like that, ink pads, but they've dove into the creating fragrances, and man, they have some lovely ones amongst the line. And so this is a house that I definitely want to check out a bit further. I have smelled quite a few of their offerings, and there's definitely others that I'm intrigued by. But yeah, this is one of the tops for me. But they did, I think, actually release like 2X straights recently. So I kind of want to check them out and see what type of fragrances those are. But yeah, next time I go to Tokyo, I'll stop by and give those a sniff. But this is a great one and definitely one to check out. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Rose Mojito by Edit H. All right, guys, so that's all I have for you for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's content, and let me know down in the comment section, have you tried any of these fragrances from Asia, or do you have any fragrances from Asia in your own collection? I'd love to hear about them. Well, I hope you guys are staying healthy and well, and I'll see you in the next video.